A girl by the name of Carol is getting ready in her room. She finishes and calls Christian to come play with her and have a good time. She comes downstairs, but instead of Christian, it's his wife Bonnie, who shows up with a gun. Carol is shocked. Bonnie is angry and reveals she knows Carol has been sleeping with her husband for a long time now. Bonnie insults her. This infuriates Carol, who talks back. Before you know it, the gun goes off, and Bonnie finishes Carol. She then trashes the place around and leaves. We then jump to 3 months later. Charlotte and her daughter Jordan move in the neighborhood. Bonnie and her friends who are jogging around notice them. Bonnie already doesn't like the fact that she doesn't see a husband with Charlotte. She decides to introduce herself with some gifts to Charlotte. She asks about Charlotte's husband, but she reveals she is divorced. Bonnie urges Charlotte to open the gifts. She does, and it's some cosmetic products, as Bonnie is a saleswoman for that company Elevel. Hearing that, Charlotte reveals she is also a saleswoman for that company. Bonnie gets a little tense. That night, she makes researches and realizes Charlotte is number 1 in sales at Elevel, while Bonnie is number 2. So Bonnie whispers, "You will not be number 1 for long." At this moment, her husband Christian comes back home. He sees Charlotte, who is having hard time with her boxes. He offers her to help. Bonnie steps outside wondering why Christian isn't walking inside, and she sees them both. Bonnie becomes angry, having a weird sense of déjà vu. Once inside, Christian and Charlotte get to know each other. Charlotte introduces Jordan. Christian reveals that his wife has a family member who run the college program Jordan is trying to get into. Christian then comes back home, and Bonnie spills her wine on his shirt, saying things better not repeat themselves. Meanwhile, Charlotte offers Jordan to trying to get in touch with that family member of Bonnie who runs the college program sending students to Paris. The next day, Bonnie trying to recruit a friend named Kira in her team sale. At this moment, Bonnie realizes Elevel has a sales competition, where the winner gets a company car. Bonnie vows to win that car. Outside, Christian is exercising when he runs by the house of the late Carol. Memories come back to his mind. Moments later, Bonnie comes to Charlotte and invites her to a party she is throwing for her clients, telling her not to approach her clients. Charlotte agrees. She then asks Bonnie to get a meeting with her cousin who runs the college program. Bonnie agrees on trying to get Jordan's application to the top of the file. Days later, Bonnie's party finally takes place. She meets Charlotte and Jordan. The tension between Bonnie and Christian is escalating. Jordan meets a girl by the name of Sabrina, who reveals to her about a robbery turned into a murder. This is the incident we saw in the beginning of the film. Jordan immediately tells it to her mom, but Sabrina's mom, Angela, after hearing that, starts having a panic attack. Bonnie arrives and says it's all fine. Jordan offers the idea of creating a watch forum connecting cameras from every house, so the neighborhood can watch one another to be safe. Charlotte uses this opportunity to remind Bonnie about talking to her cousin. The next day, Bonnie goes to visit that cousin. But instead of helping Charlotte, she talks bad about Charlotte and Jordan, saying Jordan is planning on stealing things in the neighborhood using her forum security program. That night, she confesses to Angela that she believes Charlotte has been flirting with her husband. Angela thinks maybe Bonnie is exaggerating, but she insults and leaves, reminding her to keep what happened in the past to herself. Angela starts getting into another panic attack. Christian, who drives by, stops asking if everything is okay. She says yes. Later that day, Christian confronts Bonnie on why she is watching Charlotte non-stop on the forum. He also asks what's going with Angela. She has never been the same since what happened to Carol. Bonnie threatens him to stay away from Angela, and he tells her to stay away from Charlotte. Bonnie then threatens her to reveals all about his shady business practices. He talks back saying that if she turns him in, he will tell the police Bonnie murdered Carol. That same night, Jordan realizes Bonnie watching over hours on the forum are a lot. The next day, Bonnie catches Christian talking to Charlotte. She gets the wrong idea and vows to ruin Charlotte's party. She goes to invite Charlotte and her daughter to a massage. That night, they go to that massage. And while they are gone, Bonnie breaks into their house and sabotages the gas downstairs. Minutes later she comes back, and Christian confronts her asking where was she. She tries to be vague. Hours later, Charlotte and Bonnie come back home to a weird beeping noise. The gas company is called and advises them to vacate the house for 48 hours. Charlotte is in disbelief as her Ellevel party is tomorrow night. Bonnie celebrates thinking her party will be cancelled, but Charlotte calls her saying that a client of hers will host the party. Bonnie is in disbelief as her plan didn't work. She screams and goes berserk. 2 days later, it's time for the Ellevel sales contest winner to be announced. The winner is Charlotte. Bonnie loses her mind. Charlotte on the other end is over the moon with her daughter. Bonnie is now determined to destroy Charlotte. But Angela doesn't want to be involved with this. She screams to her that she covered for her about Carol, she can go to prison for that. Days later, the Ellevel prize car for the winner arrives at Charlotte's house. Bonnie notices it and is jealous, especially that Christian is also there. She goes home and loses her mind. Later that day, she pours bleach in that car in the gas section. At this moment, Jordan is informed she has been refused to the college program. She is devastated. Her mom is also in disbelief. She goes to confront Bonnie, who pretends that she doesn't know what happened. That night, Sabrina is rushed to the hospital for a food reaction. Angela wants to go but her car isn't working. So Charlotte offers her to use her prize car. She drives away with it, but it stops in the middle of the road due to the bleach poured by Bonnie. A truck then hits the car. This ends up being the end of Angela, who perished. Bonnie looks at a house Angela was trying to sell her in Marshall Hills. She then creates a fake account and messages Charlotte that she wants to buy some new Ellevel products. She asks her to meet at the house in Marshall Hills. Charlotte agrees. The next day, Jordan goes to talk to Bonnie's cousin, who makes illusion it's because of her bad reputation that she was rejected. Bonnie then arrives at the house and realizes there is not much reception around. Minutes later, Charlotte arrives and Bonnie comes from behind, locking her in the back house. That night, Jordan calls Sabrina, saying she believes Bonnie is the one who messed up her chances of getting into that program. Jordan decides to go through all the past footage of the forum. She catches Bonnie putting bleach in her mother's prize car. She tries to call her mother but no answer as the reception is bad. Meanwhile, Ellevel invites their top salespeople for a big position. Because Charlotte is a no-show, the position is given to Bonnie. At this time, the desperate Jordan goes to talk to Christian. She confronts him about the weird behavior of his wife. Christian decides to help her find her mother. They track Charlotte's last online location. Christian then thinks he knows when she is. They arrive at the house in Marshall Hills and find Charlotte. Mother and daughter are reunited. Christian reveals to Charlotte he believes his wife had something to do with this. Meanwhile at the dinner, Bonnie says some lies to the boss, who is now ready to fire Charlotte. Christian, Charlotte and Bonnie show up. Bonnie is in disbelief. They tell the boss that Bonnie locked Charlotte. Christian also reveals she murdered Carol, and doesn't care anymore about what she knows about his shady business practices that can get him to jail. Christian is ready to rot in prison, if it stops his wife in committing more murders. Bonnie loses her mind, grabs a knife and stabs him. She then runs away. Charlotte follows her and tackles her. Both fight. Before Bonnie gets the chance to finish Charlotte, Jordan knocks her out. We then jump to 6 months later. Sabrina comes back from Germany to visit Charlotte and Jordan. They celebrate Jordan being accepted to the program. Everyone is happy, as Charlotte got the top position at Ellevel. The movie then ends.